An Amazon scam just called me.
How can I help you today?
Let me cut to the chase, actually. Will you let me remote onto your system and give me the access to your computer?
Why?
For fun?
Are you crazy?
Yes, I am. I'm Pierogi from Scammer Payback on YouTube. Let's answer your questions from the internet. This is Scam Baiting Support. From Mango May, and the question is, what are the red flags of a scammer? Someone that is trying to rush you to go make a quick decision, like, hey, you need to go to the store and buy gift cards. You need to send money through Cash App as soon as possible. That's a red flag. They want to move as quickly as possible on their victims, because if there's any lag in time, maybe a family member or something will intervene and say, hey, who are you talking to? Why are you sending money to these people? Also, someone remoting into your computer or your phone, that's more than likely a scam. So don't ever let anybody do it, even if it's someone claiming to be tech support. And then the third is this form of payment. So a lot of scammers will use Zelle, Cash App. They'll have you go buy gift cards, just like these right here, send wire transfers, or even go buy Bitcoin and send it to them. That's typically a pretty big red flag that you're talking to a scammer. At Lazy Jocelyn says, why do scammers always need gift cards? This is the easiest way for a scammer to get money from a victim. They get the victims to buy these Target gift cards, for instance, have them scratch off the code on the back, and then tell that code to the scammer. And they'll go to a website. It's kind of a bartering system. And they'll say, hey, I'll give you $1,000 of gift cards. You give me $800 of Bitcoin. This is how they launder money. And it's a way for them to stay anonymous and get the money really, really quickly. This question's from Cora, and it says, how many types of online scamming are out there? On our channel, we deal typically with the pop-up tech support scams. You get a pop-up on your computer, and then you call into a fake Microsoft support, and they want to steal all your money. We've run across other types of scams that are out there, from romance scams where someone's pretending to be a celebrity. We had someone just came by our office. Their mother, who's 90 plus years old, was falling in love with a country star out of Nashville, and the only way she could help him was by sending tens of thousands of dollars. If your mama or your grandma is talking to some celebrity on Facebook, it's probably not them. At Mad Balaleka says, guys, real quick, how do I mess with a scammer? When I mess with scammers, I really enjoy reversing to their computers. I can actually watch them when they're on phone calls with victims, just like right here, this is their phone system. And from there, we can intervene in actual scams that are happening. So say grandma wants to send $25,000 to the scammer, she's on the phone with them. We can see the phone number, we can get in contact with the victim, or we can even send law enforcement directly to their house and stop the scam. One of my favorite things to do is just pissing off scammers. They're trying to remote into my system and have me do different things on my computer. So I do things like right click when they say left click. I ask them to turn their volume up on their microphone.
Are you not able to listen to me? Are you deaf?
I don't listen to them. I don't do anything that they ask me to do.
Why are you opening that again and again if I'm telling you not to?
It's the best feeling ever when you hear them yelling at you and cussing at you.
You know whom you're talking to right now, you piece of shit.
And I know the fans really enjoy that too. They enjoy all those moments of scammer rage. I've even done things like access the scammers' webcams and force them to show their face to the world. One of the best things I think in our channel's history was we hacked one of the guys that sends out these scam emails. And that's all he does every day. He logs in these US cloud servers to be able to bypass email security. Like, we have his face from his webcam and we had his location from his computer. He had a Python script that was sending these scam emails out to victims, tens of thousands every day. And we edited the email. So when he would send out the scam email, the entire email said, hi, here's my photo, I'm trying to scam you. He finally realized that he had gotten got and he had been sending his own information out to all these victims. It was a real fun way of trolling these guys. Moles for Days on Reddit asks, the guy's name is Moles for Days. I want to start scam baiting. Any tips how? I know I can make a fake persona, make an email and stuff, virtual box, but I'm just worried I'm gonna get hacked or something. If you're worried about getting hacked, maybe you probably shouldn't do scam baiting. The number one thing is really just protect yourself. Never let a scammer on your physical computer. Also, never talk with scammers on your actual phone number. They will take that information and find who you are. I've seen scammers swat people before. Some of them are really malicious, so you don't want to make the wrong scammer angry. At Real Super Nola says, what do these random scammer texts hope to achieve? To see if, one, somebody's actually there, or two, if they're going to respond. If they can get you to respond, then they probably got you, because then they can now start to run their scam. Most of the scammers just work off of first name, last name, phone number, email address. There could be a data breach, and they're buying this off the dark web with a bunch of information. So just even an email address or a phone number could lead a scammer to know everything about their victim. from their full name, their husband, wife, kids, physical address, you name it. It's all out on the internet. @_Dice King says, which social media has the most scammers? Enlighten me. I'll probably say Facebook. There's a lot of bots on Facebook and scammers, and they target specific groups. I've seen a lot of religious groups that donate money to certain causes. They'll go in there and they'll start seeing, hey, this person's given $500 to this cause. I'm gonna reach out to them and try to scam them. It doesn't matter if you're on Instagram, X, Facebook, whatever, private your profiles so that these people can't target you. @Cintikin says, apparently when you reply to a scam text, they track your phone. I don't think that's the case. Scammers are not that sophisticated. They are mass messaging people. And then if somebody's actually willing to respond, then they'll start running their scam. So it's not like somebody sitting on a phone on the other side. So you're really not getting back at anybody by cussing them out or anything like that. Just don't respond, report it as junk, and block it. Also, scammers will send links, for instance, a UPS tracking number, and those are deadly to your phone. It's a phishing attack, and they'll get you to click on something and go to Safari, or if you're on a Droid, which is more susceptible to malware on mobile devices, you might click on that link and it could download an app onto your phone. If they know it's a live person, they will mark that down, that somebody's responded, and then the next scam, and then the next scam, they'll just keep sending it out. So you'll get more. If you want more spam, respond. That's actually the truth. By the way, I kid you not, I do have an Amazon scam that just called me. I don't know if you guys want me to call it, but yeah.
Amazon, how can I help you today?
I got a voicemail from you guys.
Did you receive any order ID number, sir?
All right, let me cut to the chase, actually. I've got a $10 Google Play card. Will you let me remote onto your system and give me the access to your computer?
Why?
For fun?
Why? Are you crazy?
Yes, I am. About you guys, because I want access to your computer.
Off.
What?
Off, man.
Excuse me? I enjoy this too much. @user108901, what is the most absurd scam call that you have received? I've had scammers write up wills, like living wills for my grandma characters.
He will need to take his grandmother Vivian on a trip to his homeland.
Scammer went through a wedding ceremony with me. It's weird when you're on this side, you're playing a character, but you hear him saying, I'm kissing you right now. I am kissing you. It's a special moment, I guess. He had me reveal myself, and I pulled down my mask, and it was me.
Are you really, are you female?
They're playing a character, they're playing a Microsoft rep, and now he's getting married to some grandma, but it's really a guy with blue hair on the other side. @Ronnie's Gum says, hey, @Scammer Payback, what software do you use to change your voice on the scam calls? I actually don't use software. I've got a hardware device that I use when I talk with these scammers, but I think it'd be easier to show you the device and all the voices that we do on these scam calls. Let's go. Here is my scam bait setup. This is everything that I use when I'm messing with scammers. It starts with how I change my voice. Now I use the Roland VT4, and I've got a couple presets on here, but it allows me first to pretty much become anybody that I want to with a few clicks. If I want to change my voice
into becoming a grandma, Vivian Rogers, I can do that. Vivian Rogers is just a blend of my grandma, my mom, and I blend it all into one crazy character that takes these scammers on a crazy trip.
All crazy characters and shenanigans aside, these tactics allow me to distract the scammers so that I can get into their computers. And that's how I change my voice to mess with scammers. Great Was Taken on Reddit says, how do people spoof their number to a specific number? Scammers can use specific software to spoof their phone numbers. They can pretend to be the FBI, they can pretend to be your best friend, they can pretend to be you. Never believe just because somebody calls you pretending to be XYZ person that it's actually them. Hang up the phone and call the phone number back. Because if a scammer spoofs a number, they can make it look like they're calling from the number, but they can't receive calls. Ugu Great 100 says, I was scammed yesterday as I connected my wallet to Crypto Wolf. They collected my money. Please, how do I get my money back and also secure my wallet from these scammers? This is a red flag to me. I don't know if this is actually a real tweet or not, or a real question, because they go into the comment section, they go into tweets, and they actually write this exact thing. I was scammed. Somebody went into my crypto account and started to take money. How do I get my money back? And then from there, somebody will respond and say, hey, you need to reach out to XYZ person. Because somebody that's genuinely trying to figure out how do I get my money back, they'll run across this and they'll think, oh, they recommend this person. I'll go reach out to them. Crypto is supposed to be very secure. If you don't understand it, I would highly suggest to not deal with it. There are ways to have physical key codes and phrases on a physical device. A lot of people want the simplicity of having everything in a computer or having everything in the cloud or saving my password here or there. There's something to be said about having physical security. If you've got a bajillion dollars in Bitcoin, put those codes onto a physical device because it's another step that they would need to be able to access your stuff. At Pink Eagle says, at people who work at scam call centers, do they pay enough? I would say absolutely no. If you look at the culture in India, there's a lot of unemployment, especially when the pandemic hit. You have these kids that are doing everything that they can to pay for their families, for their mom, their dad, their brothers and sisters. One of the things we do when we are monitoring scammers is we download their files. And a lot of scammers will host financial information on their computer. So if you get a manager's computer, it's like a gold mine. One of the call centers we were monitoring, they were making almost $1 million, up to $1 million a month. And their salaries equaled up to about $7,500 for almost 100 scammers. So you look at this and who's really making the money? It's not XYZ that you're talking to on the phone, it's the boss. Scammer A that's on the phone with a victim and runs the scam. They might get a percentage, let's just say 10% of a scam, based in Indian rupees. Their salaries are so tiny, it's hard to live off of. At Mojack Marine says, I have some very interesting scammers that have been clicking like on all my tweets all day. What do you think that they are trying to accomplish? How do these creeps make any money? There's these types of scams where there are bots that are mass producing these likes and comments and trying to get you to engage with them. They'll pretend to be even like a love interest or romantic interest, and they'll get you to send compromising photos, for instance, and they're recording this, they're taking pictures and video, and they're saying, if you don't give me money, I will release this. And it's really one of the most disturbing types of scams. This actually happens a lot to teenagers as well, and there's been a lot of mental health problems from these types of scams. Imagine a teenager that has no money and they think that they have no future because somebody took a picture of them and they're going to use it against them. It's very sad. So it goes way past just like these idiot bots. And sextortion scams are really, really terrible. These scammers will then start to push like, you need to end your life. You need to do this, you need to do that. They're cruel, very cruel. It really pisses me off, honestly. There actually were some scammers in Nigeria that got extradited to the United States because of a teenager that lost his life because of a sextortion scam. So there was justice for that teenager. At Lazy Nerd tweets, what are the programs that you use? We use a VPN to protect our internet traffic. We also use virtualization software, so VMware. We've used VirtualBox in the past as well to hide our systems in a virtual environment. We have fake bank accounts. We can use these fake banks and we can change the dollar amounts and all that just to make sure that the scammer thinks that we're an actual victim. At Casseri says, why do scam callers keep calling me and then say nothing? I'm listening, give me your pitch, I'm here for it. I think that they're just trying to see if somebody's there who is on the other line. Also, with the increase in artificial intelligence that's happening, they could just be recording your voice. So they want somebody that's talking to them so they can get a sample and use that voice to scam another person. So you might actually be helping out scammers if you pick up the phone and start talking. So I would advise against it. At DKellyFCU, what are some common scams targeting seniors and how do they occur? I remember getting a phone call because my grandmother had almost been scammed. And it's the typical grandma scam. They'll get data from data brokers on elderly people in a certain area, and they'll call up the victim. They called up my grandma, and she's in her 90s, and they say, your grandson is in trouble, and they need money to either get out of prison or out of the hospital. And these are actually scammers in the US that are carrying out these scams, which is pretty scary. They were going to have her go to the bank, use her debit card, and get out $10,000 or $15,000. And the scariest part was somebody was actually going to drive to her house. They'll pick up this money and then the money's gone. So thankfully, my aunt was there at the house at the time, grocery shopping, so she had the debit card and no money was lost. But this is one of the things they work upon is the fear of the grandparent. Another one on top of the grandma scam that's gotten a little bit more sophisticated. The scammers are using voice changing technology, artificial intelligence. They will take a video of a child's social media account, for instance, and they can actually clone that, have the grandchild call in and say, hey, I'm in trouble, please, but it's not a real person. It's a voice clone. They're doing deep fakes of family members, celebrities. They've even done deep fakes of myself. We've seen 2 of them.
Your case is a huge financial case of scam, and I will need to hand it over to the Federal Anti-Scam Agency.
Not that they're like amazing, But if you look for it to be me, you might think it's me actually. This next one is from Quora, and it says, how do scam call centers work? If they take up the entire office buildings, aren't they making their presence obvious? And how can they not get caught? There's been big buildings that we've highlighted before. Tucked away on one of the floors could be one of these scam call centers. A lot of these scammers, especially the bosses, they will go create side businesses with that dirty money to make it look as if they created a legitimate company. There's so many eyeballs on the scam call center industry. I don't think there's going to be these huge call centers anymore. They're moving more towards these, they call them safe houses, where you can have a call center group that's got 100 scammers in it, but they're in 5 different locations. Because if one location gets hit, then the other one's shut down. Not all scammers are in India. We've seen a lot of different call centers opening up in different parts of Asia, Eastern Europe, and even like Pakistan, for instance. And we've run across political figures tied to these scam groups. And even in the United States, from a money laundering standpoint, really big organized crime that are working with these call centers overseas. It gets pretty serious once you start to follow the money trail. At @itmechop says, scammer payback, I just spent 2 hours scam baiting a guy and got a money mule address. Not sure what to do with it. Can you help? First off, good job. One thing people ask me a lot are, what are these money mules? What is Havala? Havala is a process that the scammers in India use to transfer money, and they do this money laundering technique so that they don't get caught by authorities. It can be a gift card, it could be a wire transfer, it could be Bitcoin, it could even be, I kid you not, having the victim take cash and putting it inside of a box and shipping it to somebody in the United States. These addresses are really important because we can give them to law enforcement and they can find one of 3 things. A victim on the other side that's being coerced into doing money laundering on behalf of the scammers, an actual criminal that is collecting this package that's tied to a big crime organization. Or the third could actually be additional packages. So we found where one money mule address could lead to 10 packages that have actual cash in them. These money mule crime organizations are actually utilizing things like Airbnb. So they'll fly in a non-US citizen into the States. They'll be here maybe on a visa or here for a couple of weeks or something like that. Get them rental cars, they'll get them Airbnbs, they'll get them hotel rooms, and they will start moving these guys all around the US. Their boss will call them up and say, hey, go to this place and collect this $20,000 parcel. Or go to this Airbnb and stay there for 3 days and collect all these packages. They'll even send actual money mules to the victims' homes. Now, these victims are getting cash out. They're buying even gold bars. I've seen $500,000 of gold bars purchased before. They're taking this gold and they're going to pawn shops, selling it for cash, and then putting it into Bitcoin. This is where, for me, it starts to get pretty scary because a lot of organized crime, they're very good at moving money around and they have a very good process. Guys they call them runners, that are driving all around the US with fake IDs, using rental cars. They get a percentage of this. So if they steal $100,000 in gold bars, they might get 20%. We had a group that we were monitoring that was doing about $500,000 a day. And this is happening everywhere around the US. The crime groups, they are working with these scammers overseas. They work in like WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups, Signal groups, and they stay under the radar from governments, from law enforcement, and they're really good at what they do. At Rhett and Disc says, someone hacked into my Amazon account and ordered a couple of things. I now have their address. What devious things should I do? And P.S., I probably won't do it, so be clever. Well, if you want a clever answer, send them a glitter bomb, okay? Secondly, don't send them anything. I'm really not saying to send anything. Essentially what happens is someone takes over somebody's account and then they buy these things and ship all the stuff to a random house. We actually had somebody in my neighborhood. I drove by this one house, like nobody lived there. And the packages just started showing up. And then you're like, okay, maybe they're out of town. And then you start seeing the packages in the windows. And then you're like, okay, maybe they're out of town for an extended amount of time. And then you start literally seeing packages in the front yard. And I'm not talking 1 or 2 packages. I'm talking like 100 packages. At one point, I finally saw some vans show up to clear out all these things. It's somebody that thinks that they're running a business or a side business to make a little bit of extra money here or there. And they don't know where the money's coming from, but they're getting paid to collect these packages. They're in communication with their boss. They're telling them, hey, receive this iPhone, go ship it somewhere else, and then that's where the real scammer is. They collect that iPhone, they sell it, and then they made money. Lou wants to know, I'm so confused, guys. How did someone or something get into my Instagram and post a Bitcoin scam? I have 2FA. I'm not stupid enough to click links. I'm genuinely so lost. There's probably something that you did to give access to the account. If you had 2FA, there are ways around it. 2FA is 2-factor authentication. My recommendation on 2FA is to not run it through your text messages. There are ways that hackers can still utilize getting around 2FA through your text messages. So there are authenticator apps to use, and they actually have codes that once you download them and connect them to your accounts, you literally have to have the physical phone with these codes on there in order to get in. So I highly recommend using authenticator apps with all of your social media accounts. If they were on one of your devices and you were logged into it and you didn't know that that device has somebody on it. If they have access to an email address, they'll send a password request to that email that they have access to, and then they got your account. At Alwyn_GC says, online security tips I should know. Is public Wi-Fi safe? Is VPN good? It's actually probably not faster these days than just using your cell phone. So grab your cell phone and just tether off of it. It's a much safer option than logging into and probably giving away your data to all these companies just to use their public Wi-Fi. Also, never use Wi-Fi at the airport. You're around thousands and thousands of people at an airport. Not to say there's just hackers running around everywhere at the airport, but just be proactive about your own security. VPNs are great for protecting and encrypting your traffic. Turn them on whenever you want to feel more protected, but don't use these public Wi-Fis. There are hackers galore if they wanted to create fake Wi-Fi spaces. You log into it and they say, hey, we need your Gmail. You just gave someone your Gmail and they've owned your account. At the ES Markin says, at Scammer Payback, how do you get access to scammers' machines? We have various methods. The first one is just a reversal. They want to remote into my virtual machine. So the first thing is allowing the scammer to get access to your computer. And then from there, I will send a request to their machine. From there, we can run a few files without them seeing, hopefully, and then we have permanent access to their system to do whatever we want. We have other methods of getting access to scammer systems. I can't share all of them because I don't want to give away all of our secrets, but we've also sent in operatives into call centers and they will then give us the access. There are people that have been ex-scammers that are pretty much fed up with the scam industry and they want to do good. We had one insider that he reached out to me and said, hey, I want to help you if you can get me back home. And he did that. We helped him. We want to form these relationships in the area. People who are fed up. There are so many folks in India that are sick and tired of this and they want to fight back. At Techie Guy Nearby asks, how come there are so many illegal call centers operating in and around Kolkata? And police and administration, they're not aware of it. Such shameless activities sabotage the efforts of genuine entrepreneurs who are doing some very good work here. I've done a lot of studying of Kolkata. It's a beautiful tech hub. Hyderabad, there's a big tech hub up there as well. There's outsourcing that happens in India. There are a lot of brilliant, smart, wonderful people in Kolkata especially. And you look at some of these big bosses that made off with a lot of money. The reason why they were able to was because they had police connections. They were essentially paying per computer every seat in a call center. They had given money to the police. So in case there was a raid, it was pretty much a fake raid. And then they would pay the police off and then they would get out. So it made these scammers really confident that no matter what they did, if they got raided, they'll be back in, a month or so. But we've been fighting back for many years. I've been doing this for 5 years now. And it's forcing them and pressuring them to stop doing what they're doing or move somewhere else. So Kolkata, the police and the administration, they've done a lot better of a job of shutting down these big call centers. So you're starting to see a lot of the scammers scatter from Kolkata. So I do want to give credit to them for that. Here's a question from Cora. It's a great question. Why can an American YouTuber, Scammer Payback Pierogi, find the location of scammers in India when he is in another country and the India police cannot? I won't go into all the specifics, but if they've got an internet connection, we can typically find exactly where they are within like 10 meters. One of the locations I found, it made me laugh because you just look on Google Maps and there's like a square of a building and his dot is like smack dab in the middle of it. He is right in there. We take this information, we give it to US law enforcement, but also India whenever they want. It's just a matter of, do they want to take action? Here's a question from @MA. Serious question, why do scammers almost immediately want me to go to WhatsApp or Google Hangout? What am I missing? When a scammer talks with you on Facebook, let's say, it's a romance scammer. If you're on the platform and you're talking to Brad Pitt, for instance, and you click on his picture and you look at his followers and he's got 137 followers, you might start questioning, is this really Brad Pitt? The scammer has to start making up excuses why he's got 137 followers. So if they get you to a different platform, they're just a number or they're just a fake email that you're responding to versus a whole profile, kind of a more private, secure space for them that they can manipulate. At Shredberg says, who in the world names their child scam likely? That's like a statement and a question right there. I like it. The phone providers are doing a better job with protecting people. So you'll see the scam likely that's popping up. These scammers are buying up phone numbers to bring about their scams, and they get reported, they get put into a database, and then it becomes scam likely. At Morgs1234 says, does anyone know how you can find out if a site is fake or not? Convinced the address I've ordered for formal is from a fraud site. The internet has done a pretty good job with regards to stopping these types of fraud sites. Scammers are moving towards things like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, things like that. If you're on Facebook Marketplace and you're trying to buy a couch, don't give deposits. That's one of the first things they'll do is you need to pay for shipping. Oh, you need to pay for this. Oh, you need to pay half of it. And then all of a sudden you've paid, a couple $1,000 to somebody, you ain't got the couch. Don't pay anything until you receive the product, or at least meet with the person first and have the money with you. I don't know. Don't buy stuff off Facebook Marketplace. I just don't believe it. Like if you start buying stuff off Craigslist, a cat with one leg, it's probably not a cat, okay? I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, bro. Okay. I bought a cat off of Craigslist one time, okay? And it wasn't what they said it was. I bought it for $100. It was a cat, but it wasn't the cat that I thought it was. So I guess I got scammed, okay? She peed everywhere, I'm trying to bring some personal insight, so, I love it. Yeah, next question, please. I'm done. At Aileen Chang 58 says, just watching, do any of these scammers ever get caught? We're always being warned about scams, but never hear of any being caught or convicted. I understand the pain there because we all want the bad guys to go to jail and get in trouble. Really, it's about jurisdiction. You can't force another country to go arrest somebody because they're stealing money from citizens. You just can't do it. We've gotten a lot of people arrested here in the States, money mules that are working with these scammers overseas. I can't speak to all the specifics because these are some pretty gnarly crime groups, but there have been people getting caught and getting arrested here in the US. At Mike Stricker says, Scammer Payback, I watch a ton of your videos. Last night, someone hacked my PayPal account and I actually got the phone number that they added when doing the password reset attempt. How do I get this to the authorities without calling 911, like in a formal way? Scammers are really good about hiding behind burned numbers. If you get this one shut down, I'll just go to another one. And it's the same for emails and phone numbers. Take back your PayPal account is probably the best thing to do. Just take it back and change your password and make sure nobody gets into your account again. But there's not much you can do about the random phone numbers. At Mayhamville, hey Google, how do you get money back from a scammer? You really can't get your money back. That's the hard part. These scammers are very good. They might not be able to spell correctly sometimes, but they're really good about moving money very fast. If you have given your money to a scammer, it's probably not coming back. Sorry. Those are all the questions for today. And on behalf of my team here at Scammer Payback, thank you for watching ScamBait Support. And always remember, don't get scammed.